Welcome to the Redefine Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the show. For today's episode, I want to share with you a live that I did back in 2020. So this is a clip from early March 2020, right before the lockdown. I was going to say right before the pandemic, but the pandemic was already in full swing. And this was right before the world pretty much shut down. Right? Pretty much shut down. So I did this live on Facebook to share my perspective on what to do or what happens when things don't go your way. That was a moment in history where pretty much nothing went any of our ways, right? We were all forced into a situation that none of us had any control over. And so I thought it was a really important perspective to share then, and I still think it's an important perspective to share now, because no matter what's happening, pandemic or no, world circumstances or not, we will always throughout our life face these moments and experience these challenges and these adversities that, of course, are unplanned, right? Like that were no cause of our own, no fault of our own, but we still have to experience and deal with. And so, I wanted to share the mindset in helping you navigate those situations and helping you deal with them and come out on the other end stronger and better. So I'm going to go ahead and run the clip. So enjoy this clip from 2020. And I stepped on dog do that day. And so man, and this was right before I was leaving the house. We were heading out the door. It was Monday. We were heading out the door. I was about to hit the gym again. And, oh, well, crap. Now I got dog do. Okay, so disclaimer. If you guys there's going to be some colorful language in this live. So if you're easily offended by colorful language, just honestly, just suck it up, to take a line from Keanu Tollefson. Suck it up, because the message is going to be worth it. So yeah, I stepped in dog do, and that could have right before I was about to hop in the truck and drive an hour into town to go to the gym, and I was like, oh well. So a lot of things just went through my mind when that happened. First, the natural tendency is, whose fault is it? Right? Like, damn, immediately if something happens that is out, if there's a set of circumstances or a situation that happens to us that we don't like, or is unfavorable, or isn't the direction that we want things to be, the first inclination is, all right, who is to blame? Like, whose freaking fault is this, right? So that's the first flash of emotion that went through my head. Like, damn, whose fault is this, right? Like who should I be angry about? And so I was thinking as I was driving in the truck, driving into town. I was like, well, okay, so is it the dog's fault? Like, why is the dog pooping right here in front of my driver door of my truck every day? All right, but that just seems unreasonable. I can't blame the dog. Dog's got to poo. It's gonna poo where it's gonna poo. So then the question, well, if it's not the dog's freaking fault, whose fault is it? And it's my fault. Like, I'm walking the dog, and I'm letting them poo willy-nilly wherever in the carport, in the parking area on our driveway, right? And so that's my fault, and then it's also my fault for not cleaning it up. It's my fault for not looking where I'm walking, right? This and this, and it was just making me more and more upset, more and more aggravated at the situation. Like, damn, I should have done this. I should have done this. I should have done this. And really, guys, here's the thing. I mean, it already happened. So that whole train of thought of looking for fault didn't really serve anything, right? Like, the poop happened, the stepping in the poop happened, right? Shit happens, literally, this time. Shit happens. And so looking back and trying to identify or lay blame, right? Finding where the blame was completely unproductive, because it would have gotten us nowhere anyways, right? It would have gotten me nowhere anyways. It wouldn't have gotten me any closer into town. Figuring out whose fault and laying blame was definitely not going to get my shoes cleaned. So I had to let that train of thought go, right? Because that's the thing. An outside circumstance is an outside circumstance, right? Like it may be annoying, it may be set you back in terms of time. It may be a situation that is hurtful towards you, or that you feel offended by, or that you feel angry about, or that you're hurt by. You know what I mean? Like it may be those circumstances may have caused these emotional responses in you, but looking for fault and looking for blame is not really. There's zero productivity, and there's zero moving forward, or it doesn't really help any of the relieve or remedy the situation, right? All it does is indulge those negative emotions that you're going through. It indulges the anger, it indulges the hurt, it indulges the frustration when you do that, right? And so I had to let that go and just take the situation for what it was. It wasn't so much that stepping in the do was a negative situation, because the situation is a situation. It's neither good nor bad. How I feel about it and the narrative that I create in my head about it is what creates the negative emotion. It isn't the situation itself. The situation is neutral. You step and do, right? It's what you do with it up here, right? Up here, that creates a negative response. So, all right, I had to drop that. It's because it's nobody's fault, right? It's nobody's fault. Now, that's not to say that I can't take responsibility, right? That's not to say that I can't take responsibility, because obviously I can't just walk around with dew on the bottom of my foot, right? I can't just walk around with doo-doo on the bottom of my foot. So, just a quick change. I just hop in the house real quick, change into my Crocs, and I'm fine. Right, change them in my Crocs and I'm fine. Go into town, no big deal. I wear Crocs all the time. You guys know that. Those of you who know me, I'm a big fan of Crocs. They're super comfortable. They're not stylish, but you know me, I'm not really a stylish kind of guy. I don't really care. I don't care about that stuff. So I'll walk around in Crocs. I'll walk around in Chewbacca Crocs. Thanks, Jason Ching. Without a care. So it was just a simple matter of I'll take my doo-doo shoes off, leave them outside on the porch. Put Crocs on. I'll worry about those shoes when I can worry about those shoes when I have time, and then I'll go about my day, right? So it's that simple. There's a situation that's setting you back. There's a situation that you feel isn't necessarily or something that you're not necessarily happy about. Realize that again is your own story of it being a negative thing, and that's just the narrative, and that's just the voice in your head. And once you realize that, you can remove that emotion and remove those connotations, whether it's good or bad, because it's neither, and actually move forward and just deal with it. Just freaking deal with it, right? And deal with it by taking the shoes off, leave them outside, clean them later, put your Chewbacca Crocs on, right? And you go about your day. It's that simple. So it's nobody's fault, but you can still take responsibility, right? You can still take responsibility. And the thing is, like the stepping on the do sometimes really isn't even about fault or any of that, like the causality of it or this and that, right? Like we get so into, because we're flooded with so much information right now, just in general. Even before this whole coronavirus stuff happened, it was just it's information. We live in a day and age where it's just information overload. So we sit there and we analyze things so much, and we're looking for causality, we're looking for this and that always leads to fault, and that always leads to blame, when really none of that really matters. None of that really matters, right? Because that also leads further down the road of, well, if it's this person's fault, then I'm right? That leads to being wrong or right, me feeling validation or vindication of being wrong or right. And that's just not healthy in the long term. It's not a healthy mindset. It's not a productive mindset, and it's definitely not a mindset that if you let that be one of your main operating systems in how you deal with things, it's not a characteristic that people are going to want to be around you for very long, right? Hopefully this is starting to make sense, because there are certain things that aren't really in our control. What we can control is how we deal with it, how we react to it, right? That's what you can control in that situation. And so you move forward and you deal with what you can deal with, and you can control what you can control. And when you step on do, it's a matter of how you look at it and the perspective that you decide, the perspective that you choose to take with that particular circumstance. Again, the circumstance is completely neutral. The things that happen outside of us are for the most part neutral. It's what we do with it. It's what we decide to do with it. It's how we decide to look at it, right? We allow ourselves to be upset or frustrated or offended or hurt or angered by so many things that we really can't control. And when we do that, we give away our power, right? We give away our power. Anything really, anything that's happening right now, I could be angry about it, like indefinitely, because there's always something that we can choose to be angry about. Like life always throws curveballs. Shit always happens. You're always gonna step in doo-doo. But it's neither here nor there. It's what, again, it's how we choose. It's how we choose to view it. It's how we choose how we choose to process it, and the narrative we choose to tell ourselves about these things. And so like, what's the point of being angry? What's the point of being upset at each other, especially at each other in a time when we need each other the most? What's really the point of holding on to those hurts? You're just indulging your ego, really, is what's happening. You're indulging your ego. The only people we're hurting is ourselves. If we don't actively choose how we're responding to things, if we don't actively choose to not be upset or to not be angry, if we don't choose to give people grace, if we don't choose to give ourselves grace, if we don't choose to give the situation grace, then we're just going to constantly be going through this anger state or this frustrated state or this hurt state. And that's no way to live. That's no way to live. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing: we're all going to end up at someday being 6 feet under, right? All our clocks are set to a certain time where it's all going to end. And I don't want, me personally, I don't want to any more of my time to be wasted on these negative things that I created for myself, right? I don't want as much as possible. I don't want my time and my energy and my emotion to be wasted on anger, frustration, hurt, the things that I can choose to not sit in, right? And I share this with you guys because I don't want you guys to be there either, right? We all face the good times, but we also all face the bad times, especially right now. The world is feeling crazier and crazier. Things are absolutely feeling more and more out of control, right? And I know sometimes we feel in control by reacting in the ways that we're reacting, but understand that's not to react and to respond in anger or hurt or offense isn't going to serve you in the long term. What will serve you is compassion, love, understanding, grace, right? That's going to make this time that we have here on this particular rock, on this particular journey, on this particular life, that's what's going to make it, especially in these somewhat difficult times. That's what's, the compassion and the love and the forgiveness and the grace is what's going to make our time here together bearable, and not even just bearable, but worth sticking around for, right? All right, that's the whole part of it. That's the whole part of it. So step in dog do, guys. Step in dog do, and understand that when you do, what happens afterwards, or what happens as a result of you stepping in the dog do, is all up to you.